Well, hello. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? It's a beautiful morning here. You're all late. This is my second cup of coffee. You didn't get here for the first one. It is a beautiful day, and it's going to be another great day for those of us who take responsibility for our own welfare. It's going to suck for those who don't. Welcome to all the new people. I should say that we continue to grow. We have a lot of new people, both on the YouTube side and on the Patreon side. It's great to have you. I'm going to share something unbelievable with you today. I read this yesterday, and I meant to do a video on it, and then I forgot. And then this morning, I was running through the things that I always do. The first things that I do is check, well, it doesn't matter. I check certain things. One of which was the community section on the Patreon channel over there. And I got something from Triple G. He is a great contributor. We have a lot of people over on Patreon that send me stuff, that either send it to me, email or text or message, things like that. Or they'll put it on the community section, and then they leave it up to me to, and I appreciate this, to decide whether or not to put this out for general consumption. And Triple G is one of the most prolific doing that, and I appreciate that, because he sent me this and it reminded me. So the Safety Act from Illinois. Y'all in Illinois need to get out of Illinois or change it, just like California. But anyway, just like so many of these idiotic things, the Safety Act, spelled SAFE-T to make it cute, makes a number of major crimes undetainable. Did I already say this is the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard? Well, it is. Okay, this goes into effect January 1, 2023, and it's going to make your state so much more dangerous you can't believe it. And by extension, it's going to make all the states that surround Illinois so much more dangerous. I used to love going to Chicago. I've got some great Chicago stories, but you couldn't drag me up there now. Okay, non-detainable offenses. Under this new law, if you are charged with a crime in the list below, you will be able to be released without bail pending a court date. It means you don't need any money to get out of jail. That's what that means, okay? Non-detainable. Okay, I'm not even going to read what they've said about it. Here are the non-detainable offenses. Now, you might think, well, Steve, it's probably, jaywalking and maybe stealing a pack of gum and something like that. And we don't need to, or maybe recreational weed, We don't need to be locking those people up. Well, in those cases, I probably agree. But, they ought to, well, I'll leave that to the side. No. Here are the non-detainable offenses, which means if they catch these guys, they arrest them, they'll take them in to book them, but then they can go. They'll give them a ticket. They'll say, okay, you got to buy. I guess that's the way they're going to. I don't even know if they're going to do that. Okay, you can go home now. You don't need to post bail. You know what the purpose for bail is? Is to ensure that somebody appears in court. That's basically what it is. Okay, and or bond. Okay. Here they are. Aggravated battery. You know what aggravated battery is? Well, I don't know what it is in Illinois, but in Missouri and Kansas, it's battery with a deadly weapon, or to where there is great damage done. Aggravated DUI. I'm not sure what it is up there. Down here, it's usually like the second or third or fourth offense of DUI. Aggravated fleeing. Now, the term aggravated means, there's a second scoop on top of that first offense that makes it more serious, and I'm not sure what they consider that in Illinois. But fleeing means that when, the popo hits the red lights, or they show up to arrest you for something, you scoot. And so that's another. Arson. Setting fire to a building. Burglary. Breaking into a place and stealing stuff, or with the intent of stealing stuff. Drug-induced homicide. Remember, these are the ones that if they arrest you, they'll let you go without posting bail, posting bond. Okay, just a bad boy, here's your ticket. Now you make sure that you show up. We've seen how well that happens, right? At the border. Drug-induced homicide. So you get high, you get, methed out, and you kill somebody. That's all right. Here's your ticket. Make sure you come back for court. Intimidation. That covers a lot of things. That's going to go from. That's going to go. Let me see here. That's going to go for a lot of things. Could be witness intimidation. Could be, domestic situation. Kidnapping. No, Steve, that can't be right. You must be reading from the wrong list. No, I'm not. Kidnapping. Well, if they catch you, remember what happened to Eliza down there, Fletcher in Memphis? I had somebody make a comment regarding that. They said, Steve, I have a friend of mine who thinks that is just a fake crime made up by made up. What should I tell her? Well, I started to answer on this one, but I don't think I will. Now, so kidnapping, like what that guy did to Eliza Fletcher down there, they let you go. Now, you might say, well, but Steve, he murdered her. That's right, he did. And they have charged him with first-degree murder, which means premeditated, okay? And that is shown by the fact that he went past her and then he waited and, so he was thinking about it. But let me get down here for just a second, because we're going to get to that. Robbery is next. So you go in and pull a stick-em-up, and they catch you. It's all right. Here's your ticket. Make sure you show up for court. Second-degree murder. Second-degree murder. I'm not sure what it is in Illinois, but in Kansas and Missouri, it is intentionally murdering somebody, though without premeditation. Okay? So, you mean to kill somebody, but you didn't think about it long enough ahead of time, or plan about it long enough ahead of time to make it premeditated, or at least for a prosecutor to be able to prove to a jury premeditation. Okay, it's second-degree murder. So if the situation down there in Memphis with Eliza Fletcher and that animal, if they didn't charge him with first-degree murder, premeditated, if he had just driven by and just, it was off the cuff, just, I think I'll just kidnap and murder her. Well, then here's your ticket, animal. Here's your ticket. You don't have to put up any money. You don't have to put up any money to get out of jail. Another reason for bail is to protect society from that person while they await their trial. Now realize we have a presumption of innocence in our country, in our system of justice. Well, for some, right? For some. I mean, not others, right? The January picnic. But for some, we have the presumption of innocence. And so, well, okay, so you kidnapped her and you murdered her, but, we don't consider you a threat, to the rest of society, and we're sure that, because you're a good guy, you're going to show up for court. So here's your ticket. Make sure there's the date right there. If you can't read, we will have a court-appointed reader read it to you, because, that's our responsibility as a society. And then threatening a public official, You know, what is that? I mean, you know, is that like going to a school board meeting and telling them that you're going to work against them if they don't do their stinking job? So those are it. Let me run through that again one time real quick. Aggravated battery. These are the things, remember, that you don't have to post, but you can go out and do this stuff. And they arrest you. You won't have to post any bull. You'll be able to go home as soon as they finish the paperwork. Or, you know, I mean, I know that they're not going home. They're going to go out and jack somebody else. You know, they're going to, you know. But you can go back and jack somebody else. Okay, so you won't have to, you, Mr. Criminal, Mr. Dirtbag, Mr. Animal, don't worry. If you get caught, this isn't going to ruin the rest of your day. You will be able to be out very soon in order to victimize others. And then make sure that you know this list, okay? So that you don't do anything that's outside of this list that might make you have to post bond and stay in jail, I don't know, through the evening. Okay, here's the list. Aggravated battery, aggravated DUI, aggravated fleeing, arson, burglary, drug-induced homicide, intimidation, kidnapping, robbery, and second-degree murder. And I don't even care about that threatening a public official. Half of them ought to be threatened. You know, if this ain't the straw that breaks the camel's back, it's one of them. It's close. It's close. This is what they're thinking up there. You know, for years people have been saying about the libs, don't they understand, don't they realize that their positions don't work? Well, that's not the issue. The issue is they realize that their positions work for exactly what they want them to work for. Okay? And for those, and I haven't made a big deal about this, others have. And I don't disagree with them just because I haven't, but this is all a part, I'll say it right now, this is all part of a planned collapse of the system, and it's part of it's an invasion from the inside. You see, while they're opening our borders, or allowing our borders, while they're actively engaged in bringing more people into our country, some of whom are good folks, many of whom are criminals of the worst kind, and who are involved in destroying this country from within through human trafficking and meth and fentanyl and all this. You see, these people on the left, they want this to happen. They want this to happen. For those of you who don't know, well, it doesn't matter. I won't go into that. But I was talking to my old defensive tactics instructor the other day. I was over at his house. And, ooh, there's a bee flying around me. He is, are you deciding whether you want to sting me or not, or just trying to figure out what I'm doing? Well, fly out here so the folks can see you. And I told him, he asked me why I left. And I said, because I realized that our government has no desire to solve the problems. They want the problems to get larger because it gives them the ability to have more power. I mean, you know, it's nothing new. You all have heard that, but I came to that conclusion in the early 80s, and I haven't changed. So this is exactly what they want. They are putting your lives, if you live in Illinois or you live close to Illinois, they're putting your lives in danger, because when this gets out, you think all the criminals don't know about this? You think they don't know about this? What do you think is going to happen? Come January 1st, and they know, and that they'll know they don't have to post bond to get out. They can get caught for pretty much anything, sounds like, except first-degree murder. And I didn't see rape on the list. I'm sure that was just a mistake on their part. They're going to be laughing more than they are at society, more than they already are at the so-called justice system, which is not a justice system at all. And the next step that's going to happen is when the cops see, well, the cops already know this, right? But when they see that, if they go out and they bring these people in, and they are just bonded out on it used to be called ROR, I don't know if it released on own recognizance. I don't know if they still call it that. How many of the cops do you think are really going to bust their butts to go out there and try to arrest these people and try to bring these people in? How about very few? That'd be my answer. How about none? That's a possibility. The police are so disgusted as it is. This country and the big cities, not the smaller areas and the sheriff's departments and the small town police departments, the big cities are getting dangerously close to being without law enforcement. You might say, well, mine's already without law enforcement. I haven't seen a cop in a month, and they don't respond anymore to 911 calls. And well, okay, that's pretty close to not being there. But a lot of these cities are going to be real close to not having law enforcement at all. Imagine cities like Chicago and Baltimore and Washington, D.C. and New York and L.A. and Kansas City and Atlanta and St. Louis without law enforcement. This is as close to a societal collapse as you're going to see until you see a full societal collapse. And this could bring it on. Anyway, my advice is, you know what my advice is. Prepare yourself to deal with extreme violence anytime, anywhere. Carry the tools you need and tune up your head. Now, I had a question from one of our subscribers, and he told me, and it was one of my ones here in the last week or so. I was talking about, defending yourself and what to carry and all this, and he says that, he is trying to train his sons. He's never been exposed to real violence himself. Good. I mean, most people haven't. Good for you. But I'm afraid you might be here in the coming years, in the coming months, maybe, who knows, in the coming weeks. And he says, they take some martial arts classes, but nothing real. And he said he had a good instructor. I'm glad about that. But most martial arts, including jiu-jitsu, they're not going to help you in a street fight or in a real attack. And I know they all think that it will, until it happens. I'll tell you a story about that. I'll tell it on Patreon. That's what Patreon's for. I'll tell that story about when I took a bunch of guys up to Chicago. A bunch of fighters. Well, he asked, what more can I do? He's trying to bring his sons up, I think 13, 14, 15, 16, something like that. And he asked, what can I do now, Steve, to get them better prepared to deal with possible violence? Okay, I can't answer that here. This isn't the appropriate venue. That's what Patreon is for. So I'll be making one, in the next few days. I'm really, really busy. We're working the old settlers' days out in Olathe, Kansas. Again, we were out there yesterday. We'll work it today and tomorrow. So as soon as I can, I'll get around to that on Patreon about how do you, if you don't live a violent life, how can you best prepare yourself to deal with violence when it rears its head? And I think it's important. I think it's important that you get your kids ready for it, and I get my kids ready for it. So I will share with you how I get my kids ready for it. And that'll be on Patreon. For those of you who want to join us on Patreon, you really should. I put stuff over there that I don't or can't put on YouTube. It only costs you $1 a month, except for stone monters. By the way, we have a special level over there. It's called the stone mount level. And for those of you who don't know what the stone mount means, it's the name. This is the Stonemont series. It's about a place called Stonemont. It's my series of novels about preparedness, survival, and rebuilding after a total collapse. And all of the lessons that I talk about on these videos are in here. I say I've never been asked a question that I haven't already addressed and covered in detail pretty much in here. And in here, I also talk about how do you handle violent crime and ensure a recidivism rate of 0. And that's what we need in this world. And I talk about, when I first came out with the first book, The Reversion, a lot of people read part of that where I talk about what needs to be done to these animals. And they said, oh, yeah, that's kind of strong. That's kind of, you know what? People are learning. There's ways to deal with this stuff, and there's ways to stop it. So anyway, if you haven't read these, down below in the information section and a pinned comment, I put how you can get them either through Amazon in paperback or Kindle, or from me autographed. I love to do that for people who want me to autograph their books. Takes a little longer from me. By the way, if you've ordered and you haven't got your books yet, I just now got my order in from Amazon yesterday, so those will be going out quick. So if you say, I wonder if Steve got my check, or I wonder if it got lost in the mail, no, probably not. Probably I just haven't, I was waiting for the shipment. So those will be coming. And if you want to join us on Patreon, and like I say, you should, that link is also down there. With that in mind, the world is getting crazy. Heck, it's been crazy. It's been crazy for years. It's getting worse. It's getting violent. The violence is... there's no way to explain it. And with this, I'm sure that this is just going to be the first. When one crazy state does something, others are going to follow, because New York and California won't want to be left behind. They'll be in a race to let all their prisoners out too. And good luck to you fine citizens out there trying to protect yourself against these thousands and hundreds of thousands of animals without law enforcement out there helping you. That's your job. That's your responsibility. We say that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Well, prepare well today to be able to defend yourself anywhere you are. And that's also something that I talk more about on Patreon. You all have a good day. I got to get out of here and get out to Old Settlers. Like I've said, if you're ever out at these things, we're going to be out in Olathe, Kansas today. We're going to be down in Mound City, Kansas sometime in the next month or two. We're going to be in Warsaw, Missouri. If you happen to be walking around and you see a guy that looks like me, come on up and say, hey, is that you? And I'll say, yeah, I guess. Let's go have a corn dog. All right. You all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.